We are going to talk about malloc, that is allocate memory on runtime. So far what we have done is we have, let's say we have an array of say 8 elements. We initialize them with some numbers, right? All right. So this is allocated at statically. Uh, when the CPU runs, it knows that it has to allocate. This is integer, means it allocates 32 bytes and appropriately uh, places them, right? But we don't have the flexibility of doing any of that. Okay, we are going to say at runtime when CPU executes, it's going to see a function called malloc, and we are going to say 32 bytes. So it by magic it gives us a 32 bytes for us. Pretend blah 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 blah. Okay, we get 32 bytes, but we need to traverse that. So when you do that, uh, then you need to get a handle to that, a pointer to that memory, right? Pointers are always pointing to memory, right? So this is our pointer, our IA is our pointer. So you need to point IA to that guy. So it's a pointer. Now he becomes a pointer. He points to that. So how do I do that in C language? malloc simply 32 bytes, and now you got this memory, but you need to know how do you measure it. Is it integer, character, float? So we need to say it's a pointer, integer pointer. And now this points to that as integer pointer, but the internal memory locations are not initialized. So it becomes your job to initialize. Okay, so we know IA is pointing to that, right? IA is pointing to that. So how do you initialize? Let's say this is integer index 1, integer index 0, 1, all that goes. Now it becomes the integer. Uh, let's say 4. So integer means this, the entire 4 bytes becomes one cell, right? This entire second thing becomes second cell. Yeah, I hope you know that. Yeah. So how do I put a value 10 in here? If my first index is 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever the value is, how do I put it in this? It is IA plus 0, which is a pointer to that. 10 will put you in 10, right? This is the integer 10, and this is the next index, right? So asterisk IA plus 1 equal to say 20. It puts 20 here. So that's why it goes on. Star IA plus 2 equal to 30. That means it'll go and put 30 in the next integer. Yeah. So that is why you need, so when you use malloc, not only you have to do uh, allocate, you also have to initialize. It is your job to initialize. If you need those initialization data, okay? So going back to the problem, I've wrote this program for you. Our find max remains the same. That finds the pointed to the maximum data, and here it was, I've allocated 32 bytes integer star to match my integer star. Then I've declared my initialized my values, right? And this is where my 90 occurs, and the rest of the sum is the same as what we did before. I passing IA and the total number 8. We did all that, right? And then when you're done, you need to free up the memory. Okay, that is another restriction you need. When you're done with everything, you have to call free the pointer. Okay, and the compiler of course knows that you have allocated 32 bytes, so that's why it knows. Okay, where am I? Okay, so if I write that gcc malloc, this is same as the program that we wrote before, so I wouldn't be let me copy that, the whole thing. I'll just copy this function to you guys. Okay, so that is the okay, 1 second. Okay, one of the problems you may see here, okay, I just put everything here. Okay, now we see, if you've seen, we have allocated this memory pointing to IA, right? Okay, this is where the memory leaks occur. Okay, I'll erase here. This is also for you guys. You don't need this. Okay, I have declared now my IA is pointing to this pointer. If I do again integer star malloc, let's say 16, now suddenly I have allocated a new array, new memory location. Okay, and suddenly this guy is now pointing to him, not him anymore. So what really happens is the system is not intelligent enough to free this memory. Okay, does not free the memory, so it becomes leak. So you have to be careful when you allocate memory. You have to free up before you point the pointer to some other memory. Okay, it's very important. Okay, so that's the simple lecture on malloc and free. Okay,